What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video, I'm going to rant for a bit. I made a video back just before the dawning saying that Destiny is in the worst state I had ever seen, and I didn't mean that from a player engagement or a community sentiment perspective. I meant it purely from a this game doesn't work properly perspective. And a week after that video, the dawning dropped with a litany of performance issues. So many things were broken with the dawning, which is quite shocking to be honest, because it's a completely recycled and reused event that hasn't changed in like 5 years. So for it to be so broken is quite baffling. We had also had a ton of issues with the new Dungeon Vespers host, which saw hunters not able to use Tether for numerous months. That is just wild to me. And then their so-called fix for this was to reduce the number of servitors, which has had damning effects on the Raynix Unified encounter. You see, the boss health pool is balanced around there being 10 servitors, so when they dropped it to 6 but didn't adjust the health pool, it now makes that boss much harder. What I originally praised about that boss was its unique design, that it relied on a damage strategy that we've never really seen before in Destiny. Basically, every boss is a single target. Sure, some have very short damage windows like Aatrax, and others have super long damage windows like the Corrupted Puppeteer, but basically every boss in the game is a single target. So Raynix was a breath of fresh air as it brought value to area of effect damage strategies, relying on ignitions, consecration, glacial quake, blade barrage, and waveframe grenade launchers for your damage meta options was really nice. But then this haphazard fix has only served to make this once cool and unique encounter an absolute chore. Reducing the number of bosses almost in half has made those area of effect damage strategies way less effective, while still meaning single target meta options don't work either. So now you just have a boss encounter that is not balanced properly. And that boss design segues perfectly into my next topic, which is the Zoetic Lock set. Truly one of the most unique boss encounters we've ever gotten. What is so cool about it is the player has full control over how to manage the encounter. You can do a bunch of short burst damage phases, or 1 or 2 super long damage phases. It allows for such a variety of damage options to work. But this boss is also the motivation for me making this video. You see, since launching, crits do not work on this boss with a big eye for a crit. Bungie has acknowledged this themselves, saying when damaging Shrieker bosses, players receive critical damage feedback, but damage is actually regular base damage. And this is where I have a huge problem. For a long fucking time now, things have been releasing broken and not working as intended. Kinetic Impacts, the seasonal artifact mod from last season, is a great example. However, at least you could visually see something was up. You could identify it. How the hell can you identify you aren't getting crit damage when the game is telling you you're getting crit damage? We had heard about this bug, so my team and I tested Whisper of the Worm, and our wipe screen damage was way off from our damage totals that we added up. But I'm a YouTuber who records on OBS, and I can do a recording and then watch it back and add up the numbers. How many average players are doing this? Way less than 1%, that's for damn sure. So what the fuck are average players supposed to do? Destiny 2 is a complicated enough game as it is, but then when you think something in your build should work because the game tells you it works that way, and then it doesn't, it's just truly hopeless. I started my channel because I loved testing things in this game. My highest viewed video ever is me testing a seasonal artifact mod. I used to love jumping in day 1 of a new season to test out the mods and see how they all worked. And by and large, when I made my video explaining how they worked, that is how they worked, and they worked as the description said. Now, you can't trust a single fucking thing these artifact mods say. It says it is supposed to work one way, and then it doesn't. And you don't know if you are the problem, or the game is. And this is a huge issue. Another issue on the Zoetic Lock set boss is that weapon surge mods don't seem to be working, and I believe this is true. On my contest clear, I had Sleeper Simulant and Sanguine Alchemy, and I wasn't missing any shots, and I was somehow being outdamaged by my teammates on the wipe screen, despite getting a supposed 25% weapon surge from the exotic, plus the extra 10% from marking the target. So something was clearly broken. I then recently ran a master dungeon with Sutek and Time Lord, and they both said that in the testing they had done, that surges don't seem to be working. And again, I have a huge issue with this. I spent the better part of 5 days working on a solo flawless guide, consuming info from around the community, and doing a ton of my own testing. And I want that guide to be relevant both now and in the future. But how many asterisks do I have to put in a fucking guide? Oh, in the future, Whisper of the Worm will be great here, but right now it isn't because of a crit bug. Oh, by the way, we have no idea when that'll be fixed. Sleeper Simulant is awesome right now because it does high non-crit damage, where Queenbreaker is strong as hell these days, but it's bad for this boss thanks to the bug. Oh, you want to use Celestial Goldie? Well, sorry, you won't get crit damage. Guess you better use Anarchy Mountaintop or suffer until this bug is fixed. Oh, and by the way, I recommend a surge switch for all my damage rotations, but surges are broken, so don't worry about that right now. But in the future, this is good advice. Trust me, bro. Oh, and in my own testing, Weaken with Facet of Dominance works on the Shrieker, but Withering Gaze on my fusion rifle doesn't for some reason. Maybe particle deconstruction is a problem. Oh, and speaking of particle deconstruction, it is unintentionally working with Weaken, and it will override Tether or Tractor Cannon to actually give you less damage. So for now, Divinity and Queenbreaker is a meta strat for the final boss, but whenever Bungie fixes this, then just use 3 Queenbreakers and don't worry about doing any other form of Weaken because Particle Deconstruction is essentially the only source of Weaken you need since they don't stack anymore. Oh, and also on Zoetic Lockset, Unravel and Scorch and Ignitions do not work, and I think Jolt and Unravel don't either, but it's hard to tell. Also, the Poison from Necrotic Grip doesn't work. Again, this is very frustrating because shouldn't these things just apply to all enemies? It makes theory crafting damn near impossible because now you have to test every single thing individually, which takes a ton of time. But at the same time, it feels very not worth it because you never know if this shit is untended or an unfortunate bug that may or may not be fixed. And then we have the Nether this episode, where Bungie nerfed the shit out of healing builds. And that would be fine if things were consistent, but again, they're not. All verbs like Restoration seem to not work, but things like Unrelenting, Crimson, and Rat King do work. And I haven't tested it because I just don't give a single fuck anymore, but I would bet Crest of Alpha Lupi and Wormhusk Crown work in there too. It's just a hunch. But like I said, I truly don't care to go in and test every single potential solution anymore. I'm just over it. Bungie has completely lost my trust at this point, and I reckon I'm not alone. It's just a fucking shame that a game with such great gameplay and massive potential is ruined by them not caring about the 2 most important things: the quality of the game and the consumers. You show that you care about your consumers by providing them with a quality game, and the quality of the state of this game has been on a drastic downturn since Final Shape. And not coincidentally, that just happens to line up with them laying off a ton of QA staff. I mentioned how the Nether has no healing. Well, somehow that future even bled out into Revenant seasonal activities. Like I said, you can't take a damn thing at face value in this game anymore, and it's driving away dedicated players like me who used to love to test and tinker. All I can say is good riddance, and I can't wait to move on to Monster Hunter Wilds and hope that Capcom releases a polished game at launch. I spoke in another video recently about how the best way to play the game is to wait a few months after release, and Heresy is proving that theory more right than I ever could have imagined. I kept the focus on the bugs in this video, but I'm also no fan of all these time gates. Time-gated dungeon exotic catalyst, time-gated Barrow Dyad perks. Let players play your fucking game. Anyways, rant over. Bungie, if any of you who work there see this, show your higher-ups and let them know the community doesn't appreciate your buggy messes of episodes. Thank God we are done with this terrible model. And Justin Truman, it might be time to switch up the philosophy. Maybe focus on quality over velocity from now on. I speak for a lot of people when I say I would way rather get less frequent content drops, but know that I can actually play the game as intended, rather than walking away pissed off because the game I once loved is damn near unplayable. And to the devs, I do want to give some props. The new aspects are awesome as hell, and the sandbox changes this episode have been a breath of fresh air. It's so awesome playing with new abilities and exotics that have been collecting dust in the vault for years. I just wish I knew if things were always working as intended. Like, I love my new Geomags build, but Ionic Sentry doesn't proc any Ionic traces with Electrostatic Mind, even though it should. Is this for the sake of balance, or an unfortunate bug? Not sure. All I know is it's keeping me from sharing this build until it's acknowledged or fixed, and that really sucks. And to the QA department, I know you are doing the best you can, you are just understaffed and lack resources to do your job properly. But I guess that's the price you gotta pay so Pete can bid on a few more cars. Anyways, that's it. Like and sub and leave your own comments down below. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Hey, if you're still here, then thanks so much for watching to the end. If you like what I do and you want to support me further, then consider becoming a channel member. You'll get your name featured on the end screen, custom badges, and other cool rewards. You can also join my community Discord if that interests you, and if you want to see me stream, be sure to follow me on Twitch at itstizzle7 where I stream semi-regularly. Those are linked in the description. Anyways, that's enough self-promotion. Thanks for watching. Take care.